Hello, welcome to Ferrell Swim Tech. My name is John Ferrell. This is the swim channel where I take my 15 years of racing experience and 12 plus years of private coaching experience and help you get faster in swimming. Today on the channel, we have a brand new swimming technique review video. And this is from a Team Zoot member. His name is Denis. I think he's from Team Zoot. we're gonna say it. We're just gonna adopt him into the family if he is not from Team Zoot. But anyway, so we're just remember these videos are free for those that want me to review your stroke technique. ferrellswimtech@gmail.com. That is the email to get in touch with me. Also check me out on Instagram, YouTube, and Rumble. Wow, that was out of nowhere. So anyway, so with that, just a little bit about my my background is I've been a competitive swimmer since I was in the 3rd grade. I was a high school All-American, CIF champion in the 100 backstroke in Division II, and was a All-American in the 100 backstroke and 200 freestyle, and was backstroke or All-American. What was it? It was like the B cut. I did have a B cut in the 200 IM. Swam for Brigham Young University, was all conference, 2nd team in the 100 backstroke, and first team in relay. And I've been private coaching for over 12 years, working out of Los Angeles County in California. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna show Denis's stroke. So as usual, my style is I like to do just kind of a blitz right at the beginning, and then I like to drill down into about three separate major topics for Denis to work on, because it's my idea that you incrementally work on these things, and I don't want to overload you, because if you try and work on too many things at one time, it just really obliterates you, and because it's really hard to keep track of everything at once. And then on top of that, if you fix a lot of the macro things, a lot more of the micro things start to sort themselves out to where you don't need to make as much of an adjustment once you're able to fix a lot of the big things here. Okay, so what we have here is we're going to hit over into our analysis scene. So here we go. So this is going to be a couple different video clips, a couple different angles, all sorted into the same thing. So here we go. So what I'm seeing first off right at the bat is a lot of emphasis on the downward portion of getting the hand in the water, especially with the right arm. Left arm's not as bad. I'm also seeing a little bit the right leg actually does not kick at all. The left leg is doing kind of a 2-beat kick, but it's only really a 1-beat kick. I mean, I don't know if there's something wrong with his right leg or not, if there's an injury, pre-existing injury or something like that. There is just no movement in that right leg. Overall, the breathing technique is fine. Recovery technique is fine. Basically, what we need to do is we need to work and re-emphasize certain aspect of Denis's stroke. The major problem that we're seeing right here is that he's putting a lot of force with his right arm down onto the water. So what that's doing is that's actually pushing the water down to the bottom of the pool. That's not really where we want to put the emphasis. We want to put the emphasis on the pull backwards. And the thing with the legs is that you're overworking one of your legs. So the thing with kicking and triathlon, we'll get into it in a little bit. The legs don't really provide that much power. Legs mostly provide stability and improve your body positioning to where if you have a nice, steady, even kick, you don't need to kick that hard, but it's not really doing much for you at the same time, especially if you're really trying to, make your time faster and you want to save your legs for the later 2 parts of the race. You're going to put a lot of load on your arms and kind of save your legs for those latter 2. But because of that, you still don't want them not kicking. If they're not kicking, you're not providing that lift you need from the lower body. And that's why, there's a lot of people that have really bad kicking technique and their body position is terrible. Denis, however, actually has a pretty good body positioning. There's stuff that can be fixed, but if Denis can just get both of the legs working properly, it will sort itself out in the end. Because you can see he's got his lower body, he's got his one leg, his left leg that he's kicking with. The foot is actually coming out of the water, which is a really good sign. And although a decent amount of knee bend, it's not insanely excessive, but basically that knee bend, what it's doing is it's overcompensating for the lack of the right kick doing anything. So what we really want to focus on is the three things that we really want to focus on is, number one, remembering where we need to place the emphasis of the stroke. Number two, we need to learn how to elongate ourselves better during the recovery. And number three is just working on a better steady kick. Okay, so with that, we're going to pause out. We're going to come back to the full camera and let's start diving into these topics. So topic number one is the emphasis on where we put the emphasis, the power into the pull. What Denis is doing is, as his arm's coming out, he's pushing down. So the mentality is in the right place. However, what's happening is he's putting it in the wrong spot, because there's kind of an emphasis and power when you're pushing that water backwards. However, we need to slightly modify this, where we don't necessarily want to go and all right, it's just inefficient. It's too big of an acceleration and drop off. It's like trying to go on the bike. We have to remember the bike pedaling analogy. I think the bike pedaling analogy is one of the analogies I've come up with over the past year or so that really makes a lot more sense when it comes to pulling force. Where are we applying the force? How much technique or how much force are we putting on the pull? It actually wants to be nice and consistent. We want to be nice and consistent with our pull, especially if we're going into long distance territory. When you're in sprinter territory, all bets are off. You are just muscling as much power as you can, but that's only for a 50, 100 tops, okay? A 200 is technically a distance man sprint, okay? So when you're only swimming for 20 seconds, 22 seconds, 23 seconds for a 50, you can throw a lot of power and a lot of emphasis in that stroke. You try and do that for a mile, you're gonna die. You're gonna have a bad time. So when we pull, we want to grab that water and we want to push it backwards, okay? In other words, we want to grab that water on top and we want to push that water down. Now the question is emphasis. Do we want to emphasize a certain place in the pull? That answer is actually no. We do not want to go and then stroke and then finish, or start the pull and bap. We don't want to just backhand someone on the backside of us every single time, booking this big old splash, emphasizing the final push of that stroke. Absolutely not necessary, okay? You can micromanage that, but that's like legitimately when you're getting sub 120 per 100, where, you might want to start specializing. But if you're above 130 per 100, you just want to have a nice steady stroke rate. You do not want to put heavy emphasis on any part of the stroke. It's just not going to work out for you. And I understand there may be people saying, well, you got to train the best. No. With swimming, you want to do it in steps. You don't want to go expert level technique. Your body and mind cannot comprehend it, okay? You gotta, if you do the basic technique, you're going to make the gains in time. Just trust me on this, okay? So what we want to do is we want to grab that water and just get comfortable pushing back at the same consistency every single time. But the mentality is not here pushing that water down, but it's actually grabbing the water and pushing it backwards, okay? So this is a turnover rate issue where we don't want to have any sudden accelerations in our turnover, okay? So a couple ways you can work on this. We're gonna take a quick step back, and I'm actually gonna swap. I'm gonna swap my audio to the webcam back there. 1 second. Okay. Prop that up just a little bit. There you go. Okay. So what you're gonna want to do is we're gonna need to take some time and kind of deprogram ourselves from this concept of pushing down, okay? So what we want to do is we want to start working on nice, smooth windmills, okay? So all we're doing is just moving our arms and making sure each side is equidistant from each other. I don't know if I can do this way. Yes, I can. Okay, so we just want to keep here. So you see my arms are on the opposite side of each other within reason at all times. So what we want to do is we want to first, let me turn this way so I'm actually facing my microphone here. So we're going to just do a nice, smooth windmills. And this is just a dry land that you can do at home or on the pool deck before you get in. So all we're doing is just nice and smooth, keeping those arms smooth, okay? So then from there we want to start moving into dry land swimming, where we want to actually reach up, grab a brick, push it down, and down, and down, and down. So the key is, there's two major keys here. Number one, simulate that pull. Reach up here, grab that water, and push it down, okay? So what Denis is doing, imagine the water line is right here. He's coming up and smacking the water down, and then pulling here, and boom, okay? So that's pushing water down to the bottom of the pool. The bottom of the pool is out this way towards my garage wall, okay? So we don't want to smack the water this way. We want to grab that water and push it down, push it down, push it down, push it down, push, okay? So that's item number one. Item number one is we want to make sure we're moving that water from the sky down to our foot, because that is the actual direction that we're swimming when we're on top of the water. Item number two, we want to have the arms doing equal and opposite things. Okay, that's what we worked on with the windmills. So the windmills are working to where when this hand theoretically is underwater, this hand is out of the water. So we want to have that nice, consistent speed every single time we move the arms. And I just about jacked my hand on my bike. So what we want to do is as we're pulling down, we want to make sure this back arm is coming up. We just don't want to be like here, here, here. We want to simulate that motion. So we're going to rotate that hand down as we reach, okay? We don't want to smack the hand down. We actually want to reach up during that pull. Oh, and something we don't want to do is come over to our side. We want to reach comfortably up to where as our arm comes up, our fingers, wrist, elbow, shoulder, everything is in line. We don't want to be over here. We don't want to be over here. Just a nice, relaxed reach up. And then you can rotate that shoulder just a little bit. And then we're going to get this back elbow out of the water as we're reaching up. And then we're going to grab that water and push it down. Push it down. My dog's whining at me right now. Push down. Push down. Push down, okay? So we want this bottom hand to be right at our hip, the right hand to be at or the opposite hand to be up at the sky, and then as we grab that water, this elbow is going to come back, grab, and reach, okay? So what this is going to do is this is going to allow us to work on this concept of reaching in the air, grabbing the water, push it down, push it down, push it down, okay? So the other big key, make sure you have that right angle here. As we push, we want to engage both the bicep and the tricep to engage that arm in a 90 degrees. As we pull, and then we relax him to push on through. So that is what we're looking at with the pull, okay? So just quick summarization. Don't slam the water down to the bottom. Grab it, push the water down to the feet. Light hand into the water, grab it, push it down. All right, so now let's talk about the kick. Give me 1 second here. I gotta clear my. All right, so let's talk about the kick. Now the kick, actually, we're gonna want to swap cameras for this one. Give me 1 sec, and there we go. So the kick is very, very strange, and I've mentioned this multiple times before, but the kick in swimming is very strange when you're coming from a cycling or a running background. Okay, I'm just doing the normal kick that I do every single time that I swim. This is about as fast as I kick. This is as fast as my legs go. Okay, usually 90% of the time, this is how I kick. So the big keys that we want to do, number one, hips are what engage, okay? And we don't need a very large kick. If I took a Home Depot bucket and put it around my feet would be, my toes would touch either side of the bucket with the minimum down here and the maximum up at my upper foot. So this is all we need to do. So a great way to practice this is do exactly what I'm doing. You want to engage the glute, lift the leg up, and then as that leg comes down, engage the other glute. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay? So as you do this, you are going to find that your hip flexors are going to hate you. You're going to find that your quads are going to hate you. You're going to find that your glutes are going to hate you. But here's the key. It's a lot easier in water. This is a great way to strengthen all of these muscles that you're going to be using with your kick. But here's the key. You see my toes? My feet are not flat. They are pointed. I am engaging my knees to where they're nice and straight. And I'm not bending my knees at all. I am keeping the legs nice and straight. Okay? So what we want to do is envision we got a big old rubber band in between on the ends of our toes. And as we kick this way, it's going to engage the rubber band. And it's going to shoot it down. Then you're going to do the other side, then you're going to shoot it down. Okay? Actually, I can show you what this looks like. So, I got my handy dandy strap here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold this here. Okay? Oh, wow. Yeah, this is going to work good. So imagine this is my foot. Okay? So as I kick up and down, okay, it's going to kind of be resisted by the top and resisted by the bottom. Okay? So up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay? We want to keep everything controlled within that amount of space. We don't want to go super wide, and we don't want to have one leg coming up. So this what I showed you here is going to be your ticket to learning how to swim. Spend some time in your streamline. Spend some time streamline kicking and just get nice and comfortable with keeping the legs moving at all times. Okay. All right. So that's gonna deal with that. Let's pop that back. That, and we're gonna unmute that. And then we're gonna bring that down. So yeah, that's realistically that's kind of about it for the major points that I would want to say for Denis's stroke. Because what's a lot of everything else, there's not really too many issues that I have. I mean, because the right side and the left side are not exactly doing the same thing in terms of the recovery, but that's kind of small potatoes at this point. I'd much rather him work on the other things that I talked about. So let me see if there's anything else. Pulls a little deep, but if you, if he brings that arm up just a little bit, that's going to negate the excessive push down. Yeah, there's just not much else. There's just not much else at this point. So basically the way that I look at this is, if Denis, if you are able to, keep your kick moving at all times, arms don't stop, legs don't stop. That's basically it. Your arms are continuously moving, which is fine. It's just we really want to kind of, like I said, we want to shift where that emphasis is. We want to get rid of that fast acceleration down, and we want to work on having that be a nice, even pull downward. So what winds up happening in the future is, once you smooth out your stroke and you're pulling at a continuous rate the entire time, what winds up happening is you learn to add more pressure, and you put more pressure right here on the forearm. You don't want to put it on the hands. You don't want to push the hands down, because that can really mess up how your arm is actually engaging the water. We want to envision that I got a block right here, and you're going to push yourself, put your arm on this block and push that block backwards. So that's basically where you're going to want to be moving from this. You're going to want to put more pressure on those forearms. And what's going to happen naturally is, as you put more pressure on those forearms, you're going to start to incrementally increase your overall turnover speed. But there's a kick though, because the problem is, and I know this is a discussion between stroke rate and amount of power you're putting in per stroke. There's actually a fine line. There's kind of a limit as to how many strokes you can realistically take. I know for myself, with a 25, I take on average anywhere between about 15 to 17 strokes, somewhere in that region. Even if I'm sprinting, I'm only adding about 1 to 2 strokes per 25. So, and the other problem is, I hear a lot about strokes per minute. Strokes per minute doesn't work for me, because I'm swimming in a pool. I push off. I do an underwater dolphin kick, roughly 10-ish yards, about anywhere between 5 to 10 yards. That's a lot less swimming that I would be doing. I know it's just a function of speed, and Form Goggles is able to tell me, more or less what can be happening, or what the perceived stroke rate is from the goggles itself. But at the same time, a stroke rate is not really that important. What's really important is how much pressure you're putting on the water. And then the speed that you're going is a function of how much pressure you're putting on the water minus all of the drag forces that you have on the water. I know that I'm still a top-level swimmer, even though I literally never work out swimming. I don't work out swimming, but I'm still going sub 120s per 100. That's because my drag is about 0. My technique is so well refined over all the years that I've swam, and I've retained all of it. I don't require a whole ton of energy to move fast. I move a lot faster than others, but I can't keep up with the pros. I'll fall off. I'll fall off the pros. I may be like mid to end pack with the pros, but then we get on the bike and I get destroyed. So having a fast swim isn't what it's cracked up to be. However, getting back to this whole concept of where do you go from here? Because I understand it's really frustrating, and it's really easy to listen to a broadcast like this, listen to a guy talk about stroke technique, and then basically say, okay, well, I fixed this, but I'm not faster. Why? It all has to do with how much pressure you're putting on your arms and how you're able to adjust how much pressure you're putting on and how not to just be thrashing your arms through the water. So Denis, what I highly recommend, first off, easiest thing to work on is that kick. The kick will be the easiest thing to work on. All you need to do is work on dry land. Just move the legs on dry land without bending the knees, and then get in the water and replicate it. I prefer to have people hold on to the side of the pool, so they have one hand underwater, fingers pointed down, one hand on the coping, or you got that nice circular section of stairs. What you can do is just get to a step that's only about a foot deep, and then just get into a push-up position. Shift your chest over your hands, so then you're gonna be off center. You're gonna be more your weight's gonna be a little more towards the front. It's gonna make you a whole lot easier just to stay on top of the water surface. And then just work on moving the legs without bending the knees and engaging both legs at the same time. Like I said, if there is an injury or something like that I didn't see, I do apologize. I don't have that information. So the next, it's going to be working on smoothing out that stroke, just getting the stroke rate nice and consistent, no sudden accelerations, and getting the water to move from up to down. In other words, reach up to the sky, grab a brick, push it down. Doesn't matter if you're flat on the water. So from there, work on learning how to gradually increase the amount of pressure you put on the water. Okay, we want to work on moving the water a little bit harder, pushing on the water just a little bit harder, just a little bit faster, and then see how long you can hold it. I like to tell people to do builds. So you start off slow, you start building until you get to the point where you feel like you're just thrashing through the water. That's going to take a number of 25s. I recommend at least setting up 550s. And then starting at a very comfortable pace, increase it throughout the 50, and then take a rest, start at that intensity point, do it again for the next 50, and then so on and so forth until you feel like you're just and you're not really going anywhere. So, excuse me. So, I do apologize. I do no editing on these things, so I really do. I try and hit that cough button. Sometimes my hand don't make it there. I do apologize. So you want to experiment on pushing that water back with more intensity as you go along. So yeah, that's about all I got for you, Dennis. So thank you very much for sending me this video. Just kind of as a little wrap up, this is a free service. I operate on donations. All donations go towards my triathlon fund, helping me enter races and stuff like that. This is not what I do to feed my kids. I actually design swimming pools and fake rocks for a living, and all this triathlon and swimming stuff. This is all just extra stuff that I do for funsies. However, donations are greatly appreciated. I'll be sending Dennis a link to the Venmo. If you like what you see here, please check out the link tree down below in the description. And that's how you can get a hold of me, ferrellswimtech@gmail.com. That is just the easiest way, hands down, bar none, no questions asked. And then check out all the other socials. And yeah, so that's all I got for you, Dennis. Thank you once again for sending that video. Good luck with this. As always, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to email me, ferrellswimtech@gmail.com. And yeah, I hope to see, tell your friends about me, and I hope to hear back from you. So anyway, thank you very much for sending your video. And this is, my name is John Ferrell once again with Ferrell Swim Tech. Have a great rest of your evening. And as always, good night, Isaiah Norris. Wherever you are, I'm out of here. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.